Steve here in Sydney with a lay gnosis take on dowsing rods and dowsing pendulums and what it can lead to. These are the dowsing rods I'm talking about, L-shaped copper rods used for deducing the placement of underground water, finding lost objects and jewellery, and answering questions. I just want to point out to you that dowsing rods or dowsing pendulums, which can also be used to locate things on maps, also answer a lot of questions. For example, how does a medicine man walk 25 miles through a forest and pick a single medicinal herb out of 100,000 plants in the forest for a person in the tribe who is sick? How did he ever do this? Well, the answer is dowsing rods, or perhaps a dowsing bone on the end of a string, a pebble perhaps. Modern day dowsers tell us that you can ultimately go deviceless and stop using these rods altogether, and you can get prearranged physical signals such as a flicker of the left eyelid, meaning a yes, an affirmative signal. So here you have a clue how ancient medicine men, cavemen, used to get in touch with that second intelligence within themselves, long before religions were ever thought of. They used to get physical signals from that second intelligence within themselves to find a medicinal herb in the forest out of the whole giant fruit salad that there is there. And of course, further down the track, you'll hear about medicinal healers, herbal healers, typically old ladies with great wisdom who used dowsing rods and pendulums, and they were frequently burned as witches because they directly competed with the church, because they seemed to have knowledge they really shouldn't have, because they learned how to use their second intelligence also. A very good example of ancient peoples knowing, possibly for hundreds of thousands of years, the medicinal value of something in a forest. It was discovered in the 1920s when the Europeans had written books about all the thoughts and ideas and practices of Aboriginal peoples around the world. It was noticed that in about 5 different Aboriginal cultures, people had converged on a white fungus growing inside the wet portion of the inside bark of certain trees. They used to pack wounds with this fungus, and it was discovered to have antiseptic properties in the 1920s. And later on, the active ingredient was identified. It's called penicillin, and someone got the Nobel Prize, Mr. Fleming, in 1928, I believe. The most interesting question about this is, how did 5 different Aboriginal peoples scattered around the world converge on the same fungus growing inside trees? How did they find it? Well, the answer was divination, with either a bone on a string, a stone on a string, or perhaps, as they go deviceless these days, we are told, a flickering left eyelid for an affirmative signal. This is the one you need. This is what you need to do. So you can just imagine a shaman, a native healer, coming to the base of a tree and not knowing what to do next, but so he starts climbing it and finds a piece of the bark missing, and he gets an affirmative signal when he reaches in and scoops out this white mushy fungus. Why else would he climb the tree? Well, he's intuited to do that, and that's the shaman's second intelligence doing that, intervening in his normal waking consciousness. Now, this could equally well apply to a grandmother in an English village in medieval times, or even modern times. And you can also wonder why some people perhaps eat mouthfuls of dirt. They don't know why they do it, but it gives you pause for thinking, doesn't it? Maybe something drives them, that's something they need. But what? It's some kind of dowsing tendency. And this dowsing thing, where you get a direction and a kind of impulse, signal from either an external device such as rods or an internal device such as a flickering eyelid, will also explain how animals can find their owners that have moved 300 miles, how the cat knows how to find its owner that's moved 300 miles away. How does it know? How does a dog do the same thing, travelling 500 miles to find its owner? This has been recorded throughout history, and getting directional signals and intuitional feed in to the creature's daily awareness means they have access to the same intelligence that you and I have. So we've got something common to the animals. but we have switched off from it and don't use it anymore. We tend to believe in this great God today called science, which divorces us from these so-called occult practices. And occult really only means hidden, you know. That's all it means. It means not known. So it's not necessarily creepy or evil for something to be called occult. A most humorous thing is, well, it's ironic anyway, that medicines that have been known for thousands of years to people living in forests, very close relationship to the land, modern day medicines such as Ayurvedic medicine, which is anecdotal by the way, it's just word of mouth and divination by generations of healers working in India. The medicines they have today in their encyclopedias are being patented by Big Pharma, meaning they certainly do work and there's billions of dollars profit in patenting these medicines. First identified by people with bent sticks and forked sticks and little stones hanging on strings over many thousands of years. If science can extract useful information from that process, it says much for the process of divination or dowsing, doesn't it? And it's kind of widespread long-term evidence that there's a second intelligence in everybody that will even reveal itself to you directly in the physical with a couple of dowsing rods, which you can make out of coat hanger. Okay? So this is very, very convincing evidence. I want you to think about this, godlings, because you are generally mesmerised by the men in the white coats and the next bauble coming off the Microsoft production line and the technological production line. But why don't you get some coat hangers and try pacing for a line and getting across a line signal like this as you walk over the line. It seems like pure magic, but it doesn't need Microsoft upgrades. It works, it's guaranteed, and it's you personally doing something within yourself, which is free. And how's that for an idea? So, if you like messing around with dowsing rods, dowsing pendulums, by all means, you can learn to go deviceless ultimately with truebluehealer.com, because you get additional physical signals in your hands and feet. Messaging dreams begin in about a week after you've been inducted. A biochemical switch is closed in you in just 20 minutes, all done for free at the website, truebluehealer.com. 4 months later, you'll get a second set of physical signals to complement your dowsing signaling system, and you go truly deviceless then. It's a wonderful experience, and you get to actually embrace that second intelligence every day of the week, and you'll find it's remarkably affectionate toward you. This is something that all dowsers learn in the second half of their life. True Blue Healer brings the long trek, the end of the great trek. True Blue Healer brings the end of the great trek to you very rapidly in a couple of weeks, and it's all done for free. truebluehealer.com, and I'll see you there. Bring your dowsing rods.